Yep. So this is our September committee of the whole meeting that we're doing in October, so they had to postpone last week. So we do have regrets from Councillor Walsh, not able to join us tonight. And Jennifer and Krista are both staffing the Emergency Coordination Center. So they will try to join us. The shift ends at 7 p.m. And Krista's going to try to drop in when that's over on her way. And Jennifer will call in as soon as she's available as well. So approval of the agenda. Does anybody have anything to add? Councilor Serena.
I don't know if it's something to add, but like, it's just something that I could bring up during the Public Works report.
Okay, we can bring it up under that. Yeah, okay. Perfect. Okay. I do have one thing that we're gonna add under new business, which is a bit of an overview of the Emergency Coordination Center and emergency measures, because it's in place and it's impacting our staff and may impact us if we have to do a call for emergency measures. So I think that would only be appropriate to become a little more familiar with that. We'll do that under as B under new business. However, as I was telling Katie today, we'll do some Jennifer's things when she arrives. So we might have to hop around a little bit for tonight. So if there's nothing else, let's have a motion to approve the agenda. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. That was for Goddard, seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Our motion's carried. Approval of the minutes, previous minutes for August 26th. Anybody note any errors in those or omissions, anything left off? Councillor Goddard.
Item 5, councillor announcements. It should read that I attended a 60th anniversary, not 65th.
You're rushing them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Robert and Rosemary T.I.E.D.T. is how her name is spelled.
Okay. Katie's filling in. She'll make that correction. We'll get,
Krista is going to be listening back to the meeting and taking.
okay, because that's how she's doing. Okay. Oh, so you were just in charge of
It
setting.
was just.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you got it in your spot.
No, I wasn't even, no. she
Okay,
just happened to
perfect.
do that, So.
Okay, any other corrections? Okay, we'll declare the minutes approved with that one addition. All right, and review of action items. So that will be a Jennifer item and we'll come back to that when she joins us. And we can move on to councillor announcements. Anybody have announcements for tonight?
I had just
Councilor?
one quick thing,
Yeah.
yes. So, for those of you who are not aware, October is McMuffin History Month. And in response to that, the municipality, the County of Kings, and through its diversity services is doing a number of things. But tomorrow night, there's an opening ceremony for, with a art show that has 6 Indigenous artists represented at the show. And it's in the foyer of the council building. And I believe, and I meant to check this before I came, it's at 6 tomorrow night, but let me just look it up and confirm that because, but everyone's welcome, but that show will be available throughout the month. And the other thing is just to watch for the events that are going to take place.
Okay, great. Are you planning to attend?
I am, yes, that one's in my calendar, yeah.
All right, anybody else? Yes, Mayor.
Again, just like to thank the firefighters, and I've seen around town that businesses that put out and thank the firefighters, and I was wondering, I know our sign only holds 3 things at a time, but could we put that up for a short time? I think that, I know we all do, but it's just nice to appreciate it and maybe see it up on our sign.
That would be nice gestures. Can someone pass it on to?
Sure.
Yeah. Does Roger look after electronic sign or Taylor?
Yes.
Rogers? Okay, yeah. No, good idea. our chief was gonna plan to join us tonight and talk a little bit about the hours they spent at, and the work they did. In Annapolis County at that fire, not able to tonight because he's a little bit preoccupied with one a little closer to us, so, yeah. And also on that note, Adam, we have fire services meeting tomorrow. It may not take place.
Everything going on.
Yeah, we'll,
Whoever that, yeah, because I'm unable to attend, sorry, that you guys.
okay, so. Next is new business. However, Jennifer would like to be part of both those two items, so let's move on and work through our department and committee reports, and hopefully she'll have joined us. Or given us any indication of whether or not she won't be able to join us at all, and that's a possibility as well. So. Okay, first one would be fire department. And you can see there that Luke has talked about the amount of time that they spent at that Lake Paul and West Dalhousie fire. Yeah, tremendous amount of time. Not only the amount of time they spent there, but the amount of time they dealt with residents and had concerns or were reporting in, potential or thought perhaps for fires that they were chasing, because everybody's been on high alert with this, and okay, let's move on to community development. Anything you want to highlight there or any questions? So,
I will highlight quickly, if that's okay. It's Small Business Week from October 20th to the 24th. We are gonna do some type of networking event, but I also just wanted to let folks know that we're doing a youth vendor market in partnership with some of the schools and the REN. So right now, we're a little low on vendors, understandably, but if anyone knows any youth between the ages of 8 and 18 that attend markets or that have any hobbies, anything they're looking to sell at a market, encourage them to register.
where are we doing that at?
It's on October 18th at the Lions Hall
Okay,
from 9 until 12:30 in the morning.
and the business breakfast, do we have a date and location on that yet?
I want to do a pre-registration and a networking event. That'll be out within the next few days, just looking at really trying to figure out what the best space is for that. And yeah, I can circulate that.
Yes.
Have it.
Okay,
I'm sorry, what was the date of the kids market again?
October 18th, it's a Saturday morning.
Starts at 9.
Yes.
any other questions, Katie? Okay, can you tell me what the Community Voices Circle is? Is that the group that was here that Johanna and I, no, it's not that.
No.
Oh,
It's funny
I know
when
what
you
it's
look
not
at
now.
it. Yes, so this is essentially what has come from the development of the plan that was created last year as we were, for the EDI plan. So the intention behind the Community Voices Circle is to bring together members of our community who can have proper discussions and educate us as staff and community on how to build on EDI in our community. So Taylor has reached out to community organizations right now, sent them an application form and asked them to identify someone within their organization that may want to participate in the Community Voices Circle. And then looking at what we received back from that, seeing if we go into the community to look for more folks to sit around the table to plan moving forward.
Great.
I just noticed it coming in. It may have been there for 5 years or so, but the bench out front here,
Mhm,
did that just go in? That's been there for a while.
mhm,
It's just been moved.
It's just been moved.
sometimes it goes from one side to the other, but it has been.
But it is, okay, then it, my imagination's gone, is totally gone then.
Everything's changing, the leaves are falling, there's
Yeah.
lots of changes every
Okay.
day, so.
And congratulations again on getting, K's, plaque up
Oh,
there.
and kudos to Public Works on
Yeah.
the installation and all
Yeah.
that.
Any others? Katie, the Grand Council flag, are they planning a ceremony to raise it, or did you send it in, or what we just?
The school was doing a flag raising. It was supposed to go up today, and I apologize, I just sent a note to Taylor. Taylor was supposed to be in the office today, was going to do an official post on social media along with changing the flag out front, and it slipped my mind, and with Taylor being on site today, I did just send her a note and say I apologize, I didn't put it up in your absence, and she is gonna be dealing with it first thing in the morning.
But there's nobody coming from like Annapolis Valley First Nations? I
No.
think they did last year, Katie. didn't
Not
they?
last year. The last year we've had someone here, let's say maybe 3
About 3 years ago, yeah.
We did have a really good conversation. The community development department, went to the school and we had a great, discussion with the new principal. And we've discussed doing flag raisings together moving forward. This one, in consideration of time, was a little quick turnaround as we had just met with them last week. But the intention moving forward is to either have students come down and be present and with that, or for us to also go up there and join theirs. So it was a healthy discussion about that during our meeting. So I hope that that's moving forward.
Good. All right, anything else? Yeah, let's move on to Public Works. Aaron,
So I do have one thing that we can cross off. We didn't get it done before the end of the month. But under streets and sidewalks, the yellow accessibility markings along Commercial Street haven't been updated yet.
Okay,
We needed to order more yellow paint. The paint just arrived today in Kentville. So that'll happen probably next week. So aside from that, everything's accurate. Under beautification and community, we've also removed the pallet chairs for the end of the season. In addition to flowers. So it's been a busy month.
any questions for Councilor Swindle?
It's been brought up to my attention a couple of times now. There's a broken basketball net at the park.
There is, the replacement's been ordered.
It's here. I was just
Is it
gonna say, it might be.
It might
is
be up
not
already.
installed? Yeah, it might be up.
Okay.
Thank you. We were made aware a few weeks ago and it's here. So if it's not up now, assuming
can
it should
check,
be
yeah.
up very.
Yeah, Gallaty's weekend, seem to have been damaged.
Easy.
That might be.
Thank you for,
Mhm.
sometimes things will break and we won't know for a long time, so it's certainly better for us to know.
Too easy. That's all I had.
Anything else?
Not posting for the wastewater treatment operator. They were on that.
We've had probably 20 applicants. I haven't seen all of them. They're in the website. So when it closes, I'll get with Lisa and we'll get all of those. But from what I've seen so far, we have a lot of applicants, but none that I've seen so far are qualified. It's a lot of people eager to learn and willing to take certification. But of course, we can do that with our existing staff too.
Has anybody in our staff shown interest?
They have.
Oh, good.
They have, yeah. So, if somebody shows up who's qualified and has the right certification and, they'd be a great fit, we'll look at them. But again, if it's just getting somebody who we then need to train and develop, the preference would be to do that with our own existing staff. Yeah, so. Yeah, so fingers crossed. Let's see.
Councilor James?
Just, we're probably 2 months away from a potential storm.
Yeah.
Where do we sit with the contract or
So
RFP or?
for winter maintenance.
Maintenance, yes.
So the work's been awarded to Rick Balser Welding. We're awaiting his operations plan. One of the things we had in the work scope is for them to submit a written operations plan. I forget the date that's due. It's mid-October. And with that will come a performance bond for the work. So once we get I've spoken to him a few times. We've talked internally about how we can best manage the contract as a team, not just me, not just the lead hand or the person on call, but all of us. How can we manage that contract? How can we divvy those responsibilities? So once we get the ops plan, I'll have some more in-depth discussions with Rick on that. But so far, it looks like we're going to be set up to do it. He's purchasing some new equipment and getting his existing equipment ready. And he has somebody helping with the ops plan, so.
So the plan is proceeding as planned.
It's proceeding as planned, basically, is a good way to put it. We've also set up an email address and a phone line that goes to a voicemail where people can give us feedback.
Right.
So as we approach, well, we're probably gonna get a frost, our second frost tomorrow morning, if the weather's accurate. I mean, as the need for ice treatments approaches, we'll start putting that on social media. I think the email address was in the last newsletter that went out. Yeah, so again, it's just a way for the public to have another way to give feedback if needed.
Thank you.
The line is open, but have we had any?
Well, the phone line's open. We haven't received anything on that because we haven't communicated that. The email, I haven't checked it this week, but as of last week, we haven't received anything yet. I'm sure we will, but we haven't received anything.
Oh, I'm sure we will. The first ice or snow event will,
Yeah,
because it will be different.
we've also, that's something I've spoken to the contractor about, any feedback is to come to us. So if the contractor is receiving feedback, they need to politely redirect it to us. Right, so.
Councilor Clinton.
I noted in your notes, first of all, and I'm thanking you, the Ilsley Street / Drive controversy has been corrected. I'm assuming it's Ilsley Street now.
It's Ilsley Street, yeah, I've heard that's been going on for many years.
Yes, it was such a contentious point on Ilsley Street to people I talked to during the campaign, so it's, that was an interesting sort of thing, like, okay, yeah, this is important. And I thought, and I just don't see it now, but maybe it was in another part of your reports around the tree issue on a particular yard on Maple. And it's
You would have seen an email on that.
oh, that was what I saw.
That was my email.
Okay, because the question that arose there that I just wanted to direct to you, and it's not, because it's not in the report, this may not be appropriate, but just the whole issue of tree replacement, sort of, can we better understand what the policy actually is and whether or not these trees fit into the tree replacement policy and how that might be managed. We don't have anything.
No, sorry, that's why I was, we don't have anything
Yeah.
existing. If we missed a good opportunity to build that plan, while there were some pretty knowledgeable folks on staff.
Yeah.
But it is something, that I know is a priority
And so the other part of my question is the flower planter group are meeting on Monday. And trees were one of the things that we would likely start talking about. So just to let you know that there are community members who are very concerned about trees in this town.
So I thought we did have a policy at one time, maybe outdated, or at least we had a practice. Because we had a nursery on, and the practice was if we took one down, we would plant one. Didn't necessarily have to be back in that same spot, but it went somewhere.
Tree nursery number 1, the trees just stayed there, and tree nursery number 2, which is in the public works yard, was in the public works yard. I think there might be some trees that survived there, but I don't think they ever got planted
No,
anywhere but
so,
there, yeah.
I mean, if it's old and we're not using, at least it might be something that we can resurrect, but you guys don't think there's actually anything written anywhere for a policy?
No, we had, or I had, maybe Aaron has a different, I had asked him. Prior to him retiring, and he said, we used to have a lot with some trees. And that was all that was relayed.
Yeah, I haven't,
I have looked on the network, not.
Yeah,
I've looked
so-
on the network extensively for any type of documentation on it, and doesn't mean it's not there, but any words I was looking for, I couldn't find.
So the first lot I know about from 10 years ago discussion with the retired mayor. And I know what happened there, and basically the trees that were planted there as sort of starter trees never moved out of that space,
No.
they're still there. And then, as I said, I know that we had a resident who contributed a bunch of trees. And they were planted at the very north end of the public works. The additional yard,
oh, yeah.
and I don't know if any of them were ever transplanted and if any of them survived. But, yeah, it just,
Yeah, and to your point about where the tree is planted once one is removed, it's not necessarily.
It doesn't
Same
need-
spot,
yeah.
so a plan can address
Yeah.
some of those.
So
We talked about
big trees
the
that go
need for a
through power
plan
line.
next fiscal year.
Learn.
Yeah.
Because it's something we should budget for. And so to budget it, we need a plan to bring to council to approve that portion of the budget, so.
so I don't know where. I mean, if the committee is going to be able to help you very much with that, except that I know there's at least one person on the committee who potentially
Mhm.
has not. No, I actually, there's two people that I hope make it to the meeting on Monday that have knowledge of trees.
And I do remember Tim Harding telling council at some point that there was not necessarily a policy, but a standard procedure that he used. So you may, and if you're talking to Tim, you say you talked to him.
Yes, I've never, in the last 10 years, I don't know that we plant.
No, but he said that, he had said at council
Mhm.
one evening that, when one is gone, one is set aside in order to take its place. And that's what was said.
Okay, we can follow, Kevin would have knowledge of that as well.
Yeah, and I speak to
Some
Tim
of the
weekly.
Keats and, yeah.
Yeah, I can check with
You can
him.
check with him,
You know,
because I distinctly remember him talking about it. I guess my concern in watching our boom truck go around town and keep the upper parts of the trees trimmed back so that they're not in our power lines.
We don't want to plant them the way they were planted originally,
No, I
that's for
agree.
sure.
I think that we should have someone from Berwick Electric give us some input.
Oh,
Yeah.
As it
Absolutely.
relates to a tree planting policy, or we should just plant dwarf trees or bushes or whatever it is.
absolutely. It's gonna be a joint effort and discussion on what the go forward is, because it's gonna take many different departments' input and expertise to know the right place to plant them so that we're not digging them up again and.
I saw Joey, 40 feet up in the air the other day trimming a tree, so we don't really need that.
Yeah. We have 3 more on Union Street, just so folks are aware, hopefully by the end of the month have been removed. Certainly by Christmas, there's 3 substantial trees on Union Street that need to go. I think it's something our arborist mentioned too, with this drought this year, sugar maples apparently don't do well with drought at all.
No, they don't.
No, they don't.
And we're not gonna see that for a couple seasons. But sugar maples, which we have a lot of in town, are most likely have been seriously impacted by the drought. So we might be removing even more over the next couple of years.
It speaks to the whole issue of our updating our bylaws and creating the new bylaws that we need and prioritizing the bylaws. So we just haven't got to work on that as I think staff had hoped to, because there's a lot of bylaws that we need to kind of look at or make sure we have in place or whatever. And to me, this is one that I probably knew that we didn't, probably weren't practicing if, but I thought we did have something in place at one time, and maybe we did, and it's just not. It's not in that location where all bylaws should be. Over time, they just didn't, you know. Anyway, it's a piece of work that we need to get at, for
To
sure.
go with it, your buckling of the sidewalks is the other.
Yeah, as a function of the trees. Trees are horrible for public works related anything. The sewer lines usually get plugged
Don't
with
want them
roots.
close to the sewer lines, you
So-
don't want them close to
Yeah.
your sidewalks. You don't, and if this summer is any example of things to come, you want drought resistant trees and a policy when you plant them to make sure they survive long enough to develop that resistance.
Mhm.
You, as part of the stormwater management, we've talked about, the opposite of drought resistant trees, trees that just suck up a massive amount of water. Really, as part of our stormwater management plan. You know, again, that might be a good idea, but if we get a summer like this, it might not, so.
Well, and so if we plant those where we want them to deal with water and plant drought resistant ones in
Yes.
places that don't have water.
That's right, yeah.
And yeah, I've noticed, a dogwood that's in my neighbor's yard that is just, that died this summer.
Oh, yeah.
With the one in my yard, because I was able to use gray water and sort of keep, they're still alive, but boy, it's been a lot of work. Just to keep
All right,
them going.
Councilor Dodd.
Talking about types of trees, is there any interest in American chestnut trees in town? There are only 2 American chestnut trees in Nova Scotia right now, and they're both in the Uniacke Park. There used to be lots of them, but they were lost 100 years ago in some sort of blight. There's a few in Maine still and Vermont, but I was interested in going to talk to the Mount Uniacke Park people and see if we can get chestnut from their trees and start our own and plant some American chestnuts through town. They're the edible chestnut.
The
So if
question,
there's any interest, I would look into that, if there's any interest in it.
don't think that's, we should have, that's an interesting point. The question is, are they truly resistant to the disease? Because I don't think the disease has been eradicated. We just, it doesn't happen anymore. So you're
Well,
going
they've still
to,
got 2 trees there that
yeah, so,
for quite a number of years.
yeah, so it's like elms. I mean, we've got some beautiful
Yeah.
elms still. Which surprised me when it came out.
I think there's more than 2 because I recall having one down on my property in Greenwood.
What, American chestnut?
Yeah, quite sure it's American chestnut. It was the edible kind.
Yeah.
And it's still there as far as I know. I drove by it a few weeks ago. Just checking, but it's part of the beech family, isn't it?
I don't know. Chestnut.
Actually, I should know that, and I don't know that. I just,
I think.
So it's an interesting discussion when we have our policy discussion on trees. I mean, your question is an interesting point. Probably a lot of people don't even know what an American chestnut tree is, or at least they're concerned, so I think whether it would be of any benefit to plant here, so, and the story that you just told, so, yeah. All right.
yeah, that is interesting.
Thought what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aaron, is there, so the stormwater, I see you did some ditching and things, is that, kind of, were you able with the summer that we had to get ahead of some of the stormwater work that you knew may be coming forward? And is that kind of, or that was just normal things that were on the list that you might get around to? I'm just kind of curious as to.
They were on the list, but we were able to do a bit more than we typically would. One example, the one on commercial between the dentist office and the fire hall. You know, we were able to get in that water course or that open ditch and skim the entire way, all the way to where it joins another water course.
Mhm.
Typically that wouldn't be possible. We could get a few select sections and and trim some brush, but we were able to open that up with respect to vegetation. We were able to skim the whole thing down. We were able to put a sump at the end of the culvert so that we have a sand trap of sorts, so that the sand doesn't then accumulate everywhere. So it's things we would have normally done, except we were able to do more. I think one exception to that is, north of Main Street and Foster, behind Monica
Okay,
Franny's and, Lori Saunders's rental. We were able to take that water course all the way to the Cornwallis River. Usually we can't even put an excavator because that's so soppy wet. So because of the dryness, we could open that up, whereas before we weren't able to.
good, good.
So a little bit, also behind Horseboro,
Okay,
we do that every year. We did a bit more than we typically do. Really did just try to get ahead. But yeah, I think the only exception would be behind Monica and Lori Saunders's rental property. We were able to do more there because of the dryness, so.
good,
Behind the
thank you.
Legion, that got cleaned out real well.
That's all cleaned up, yeah. Again, we took that, you know, we went from commercial street as far as we could go, then we went from the public workshop and worked our way up. A resident has put a culvert in that water
Yeah.
course or open ditch, so we went one way till the one end of it and the other way till the other end of it. We replaced the guardrail, you know, that's just for safety. We added a guardrail on Horseboro next to that, open ditch. So, yeah, we've trying to keep ahead of it. I think the stormwater plan will inform more maintenance we should be doing. But any place I'm aware of that we've done maintenance historically, we're trying to get to a point where we can do it every season. And just stay on top of it.
Good. All right, and we look forward to the storm water plan coming forward to us in October and the public meeting likely in November. Yeah.
Yeah, we're shooting for that.
All right, anything else of, Aaron? Thank you, Aaron. Let's move on to Lisa, sitting quietly over here.
All right, so I guess big highlight would be that our BEC commission was able to pass our operating and capital budgets for the year, which is about 6 months late coming. But we were waiting on some financial information and were able to get enough that we could put a budget forward. Yeah, we continue to work on our audit prep. And those are really two main highlights, so I welcome any questions anyone might have.
There's still a vacancy for volunteer for the community for Burke Electric.
Yes, yes, there is. And our audit committee as well.
You've advertised
We have, yes, yeah.
and any,
I'm not sure, to be honest. I believe they're sent to Krista, so, and not to my knowledge, but.
And how is the billing season going? Bills have gone out due
Oh,
for
for
tax
taxes.
bills, yeah.
Yes, it's going.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, we just get, you know, an influx of calls at that time, but typically it's just people double checking their bills or how to pay, so it's been, I should knock on wood, but it's been good so far.
Okay. good,
Yeah,
that's good.
yeah, we're
Yeah.
getting a lot of revenue and cash in, so cash is great,
Mhm.
yeah.
how are you handling the postal strike during that?
So with the postal strike, we are taking anything that has a PO box listed to our post office because they'll still process at the site. So we're able to do that we have a small bit of property tax bills that did come back. But for our utility bills and any other outgoing mail, we're doing that. Anyone that has a phone number on their account, we're contacting to see if they want to sign up for our e-billing that we offer with both our property tax and our utility bills. We are also advertising on social media with respect to the social or to the postal strike that people are able to come in and pick up their bills here as well. So those are kind of the different strategies that we're trying to utilize, which is similar to the strike that they had almost a year ago, I guess. So trying to offer the same solutions for people.
So what date did the tax bill go on?
They were mailed on the 15th of September. So we were fortunate in the sense that we were able to get them out ahead of the postal strike.
Everyone should have gotten them before strike.
Yeah.
Do we have many people that do the e-billing that we send electronic as opposed to putting in the mail?
Not as many as we'd like.
Yeah,
I'd say maybe a quarter of our property tax bills. And I know this morning we talked about our domestic two billing route for utilities, and I think we've got just over 600 total accounts on that cycle, and I think we've got 400, around 400, which is
yeah.
a big improvement, because I think last year this time we were under 300. So Roger and Patty have been working collectively to really blitz out our eSend function. And as people are coming in, Roger's trying to sign them up. So,
Yeah, I expect people are signing up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. Okay. Any questions? More choice? All right, well, we will wait for Jennifer. Hopefully she's gonna be joining us soon, or like I said, or not. Depends on how things go there, so,
Just to,
yeah.
where you going? I just checked with my wife to see if we received our tax bill, and I didn't think we had.
Okay.
But there are obviously some that are missed. That's why I just bring it up.
Yeah. And I'll ask our clerk to take a look, because she did have, I think it was around 15 returns. So I'll see if yours is in there. And would you have a PO box? No, it comes to your home.
My community,
Oh, a community mailbox.
mailbox.
Okay.
And there's nothing there. I'll check.
Okay. I'll
Because there's a
also-
postal strike.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Um,
Affected by the strike.
We'll also follow up with the local post office and see if maybe they have anything that hasn't yet been delivered out from the town.
Yeah, and I only bring it up because last year we had a similar issue.
Yeah,
So we must be one of those weird contacts.
it must go like, I don't know, to the Northwest Territories and then back to Berwick. Or Derek, we have eSend as well, if you're interested.
Yes,
And you have your mailbox in there, Jared, you can always go it in there.
I didn't check. I just figured you didn't want the taxes, that's.
You got struck off the list and you're quite happy.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to our committee reports. So accessibility is our first one. Councilor Clackenhead.
Yeah, so, I'm sorry I got this out fairly late, but, and I just noticed a typo in sort of the points, but that I tried to make, so Taylor is actually Taylor, and I'm sorry about that, I didn't notice that until just now. So, bunch of things we did at the meeting. First of all, we finally had the committee, do a tour of the reception area, and some of them have never been in, and they were very impressed with how much more accessible it was in the changes. And we have a member of the committee who understands accessibility code really, really well, and she felt that it met all of the requirements she understood, and the turning radius space has changed in the last year or so, and this one definitely meets the new standard, and could see how it worked. One of the interesting things was nobody seemed to recognize that bar that's out there is the push pad for the opening the door if you are needing the door to be opened automatically and not by yourself. So there might need to be a little bit of education around that because it's appropriately marked. It's not like it shouldn't. People should be able to figure it out. But Rogers, the public has figured out really well, I think, and they're happy. Really likes also the fact that two staff can be working out there at the same time, so someone can be dealing with hooking someone up with their electricity or whatever, and the other issue can be dealt with, and people still, I think, aren't really used to the fact that there's so much space, because many of us would come in, and if someone was already in there talking in the reception area, talking to the staff there, we would wait outside because you just felt uncomfortable. Sort of blocking someone else in, basically, is what you get, so that's really a good thing. We also had a quick discussion around the pathways in the new pathway in Centennial Park, and everyone in the committee that had seen it and had experienced it felt really good about it. I know that in my notes, there's this issue from Grandview Manor, which for some reason or other, I still haven't gotten to the point where I've had someone talk to Leanne in detail to sort of say, can we absolutely be sure that you know that, if this is gonna work for your residents next year, because I think they came to a concert like the very first week or so that after we had done it, and found that the pathway just was impossible for them to wheel chairs with and it's the regular wheels, not the bigger, wider wheels on it. But now that it's packed down, it should be fine. And I know you and I have talked about the fact that when we do finally get rain and stuff like that, there likely there'll be a couple of periods of time where
It's
you
gonna
need
settle.
yeah,
So
that
maybe
some work will need to be done, but I'm really comfortable, that it is going to be really a good thing. And I was also interested to know the Nova Scotia Walks plan to Friday night walks using that pathway. Monday night walks using that pathway, sorry, yeah. It's, I'm pleased with sort of the kinds of things we're working on. We're also, the community sharing, some other spelling mistake, sharing circle, or that has come up, is equity, diversity, inclusion initiative. So we'll be really interested to see how that actually works. And I think the final thing is we're hoping to have a grant, so there could be a newcomer event as part of the town's Festival of Lights celebration event, and that's also an inclusion kind of event that we're hoping to have. There's a comment in here about the Apple crate chairs, or big red chairs, or whatever we want to call them. The one in front of the bank came up again, and this time the issue was that someone with a mobility issue, who's a passenger, found it really difficult getting out of their vehicle to go into the bank. So there's another reason why that placement is really not a good placement. So, but that can be dealt with in the future at this point, because you've moved them out, and so that's no longer a concern. I think you've talked about everything else that came up at the meeting. Did I miss anything? No. Okay. So any questions? Any other accessibility things that you want us to be aware of? I think it's a good meeting.
Yeah, go ahead.
just since it relates to accessibility, we're doing 2 repairs to the sidewalk on Commercial between Cottage and Main on this side of the road. Those should be repaired by weekend. And right now it's typically we would fill that with gravel, so it's a flush surface. We didn't do that today because the intent is to repair them tomorrow.
Okay, yeah.
We've also looked at the one in front of Petro Canada, the really bad heat. That's more than likely out beyond our capacity as a team, so we're gonna outsource that and get that repaired. The intent is to get that repaired this month. If we can find a concrete person who can do it that quickly, they're pretty busy, so. But certainly by Christmas, all three will be repaired.
Great.
These
Good.
two this week, and then as soon as we can get someone, we'll get that repaired. So,
And I think people still are having problems getting their head around the fact that the problem is because of the increased heat, hot
Yeah.
days, et cetera. That whole, that's sort of a concept. It's like, but there's no trees around. Why is this heating kind of thing?
Yeah.
Because it really, that's been what I've noticed, and because in the past, when a sidewalk heaved, it was because the roots were causing a problem.
Roots would push, yeah.
Yeah, so that's really. But people do comment about problems that they have using the sidewalks, if they're using the sidewalks with accessibility, with mobility aids. And they do tend to find workarounds, some of them that feel quite unsafe.
There's one, okay, welcome.
And I did notice today when I was coming back from Evangeline Bluff, someone on a motorized scooter on Commercial Street, going up the street in the bike lane against the flow of traffic, and I was sort of going, okay, is this safe? Like, but it's interesting how people kind of try to do the right thing, yeah.
We were chatting today about stencils, I know a while ago, just with the flow of traffic and bike stencils we used to have. So maybe it's something even adding arrows for flow of traffic, because if you're on the road, you're gonna be bikers, you're gonna be following traffic. So
Yeah. It's,
try to do all you can, but unfortunately, sometimes it's just.
and we do have limited space. I mean, I've been in Wolfville a lot lately, and I can't think of the name of the street, but I usually, when I go to Wolfville, come in along Ridge Road and then come back down. And they now have two, up at the top end of that street, two paved multi-use pathways, beautifully marked. So they've taken up, like, there's grass, and then there's a pathway, and then there's grass, and then there's another pathway, all marked and stuff like that. And that's kind of how did you find this much space? How did you do that? Yeah. It's impressive.
All right, anything else on accessibility? So next one is area. And we're still plugging away on the solar garden reconciliation, and I know it's hard to get your head around how long it's taken and why it's taken so long, but I think the staff and the manager and CAOs are trying to get through that list and resolve those, and it's gonna be some more work yet as they have kind of agreed to perhaps the way things should have been built out that may not have been built out that way, and they're gonna kind of look at reviewing some of those. So we'll see where it all ends up, and thank you, Lisa, for your patience with this over a long period of time, and your continue to plug away at some of the concerns with that. So the area board has completed their strategic planning exercise and is moving forward on some of those, and have identified kind of the staff allocation to take the lead in a number of those things as well. Although those staff people are still quite involved in the solar garden piece, so some of the new items for the strategic planning hasn't quite rolled out as they'd hoped. And the NSPI cyber attack and some other related issues have not quite resolved themselves, and we've been waiting on them for a period of time. There's potential there with some of the NSPI tariff structures that we may be able to resurrect a dividend, which would be helpful to the town, which would mean a check. Not sure how much, but for the last 2 years, those have been put aside. So they do owe us money. but they haven't been in that kind of position to pay them, so if we can get back to that, that gives us some improved cash flow. Um, But there are implications yet for this tariff structure to make that happen. Derek, anything to add on the area?
Pretty well covered there, yeah. I can't think of anything else. Bigger dividends came in the first number of years, and we knew that.
Yeah,
Now we're just sort of operating and holding our head above water.
mhm. Okay, if there's no other questions, I'll move on to the next, which is Berwick Electric. And Ms. Weiss kind of hit some of the bulk of our discussions, was the budget. Again, further conversation on trying to explain the solar garden reconciliation and how that's come about. But I must say, you know, we were very proud to be part of Don Reagan's celebration. I mean, we had some staff that worked on that and worked with his sister on organizing that, and you know, we're quite pleased with how that day turned out. I think it went really well. So, yeah. Any questions from? We do need another citizen member, so if you know anybody that may be interested. So we only have 3 kind of voting members, so it's to make a motion and second the motion. You require, we have 2 people to take the turns. It's like, so your turn this time. Okay, anyway. All right, if there's nothing more on BEC, let's move on to diversity. James? Oh, and Jennifer's here. Welcome, Jen. How long has she been there? Just popped in. Okay, great. So Jennifer, we've held all your items until you arrived. So perhaps after this one, we'll go back. You're ready, or do you need a bit of time to get settled and relax? You're good to go. Okay, that's a thumbs up. All right. Johanna, let's do yours as we started that, and then we'll go back and.
Okay, so, shoot, just. So the Diversity Kings, committee meeting was September 3rd. The key points of discussion were all around, Indigenous, policy changes. So the county has finally, the municipal council has finally come up with their land acknowledgement statement, and I've shared that with the mayor. And then that was followed with a presentation that was called "We Are All Treaty People," and actually there are, and I don't know if there are any left outside by the library, but we were given a booklet that's been published by the province, which is we Are All Treaty People, and actually it's a useful little bit of education material to help us understand the treaties and the history, etc. And then the third thing that I pointed out was that this was History Month, and that the art exhibit is on opening ceremony for that is on October 2nd, but the exhibit will be there, I think, for the entire month. And, you know, you can pop in and just view it, see it. Tomorrow night, there will also be some vendors, etc., selling some local Mi'kmaq vendors with some of their items that they have created potentially for sale. So that's kind of the important stuff. There's no diversity meeting this month, because the committee, the staff, the county are going to be very, very busy with the month-long events that they're holding. Any
All
questions?
right. So Hannah, you're attending. Is Heather still attending?
Heather usually attends and Jennifer usually
Oh, okay,
attends, but
yeah.
the fact that that meeting was on a Wednesday night, which instead of a Monday night,
Mhm.
threw everyone off and they just, they couldn't really adjust their schedules, but, that's, Heather's does attend. Good. Just had another meeting conflict.
All right, let's back up to item 4, review of the action items.
Good evening, everyone. I will apologize. I don't have an updated list of action items, but if there's any questions on any of the actions from last meeting, I could answer some, but I will definitely have one for October 14th.
Anybody, any questions on that? Jennifer, the Marsters Avenue one. Has there been anything, I guess Crystal was looking into that lately and, anything from her?
Sure. So Crystal's actually coming into the office tomorrow to meet on a number of things. So I was planning to follow up with her tomorrow, especially if we need to go over and look at the property.
Okay, great. All right, anything else from anybody? All right, let's move on then. So now we're gonna jump to 6A, which would be the committees of council members check-in summary, and the document is there. And there are the highlights from it, but Jen, do you want to take us through that as well?
I would just take any questions that anyone has about the report.
Anybody have any questions? Did council get the longer version? Did we get copies of that where you can see? No, okay.
They got whatever.
They got just that piece? Okay.
Sorry, what was it that you were looking for?
The response summary. I just wondered if council had that. Or not, they just had this piece, the summary pages here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, so we didn't include the individual responses in case there was, because we did put it out, I believe, anonymously. And just as we did with the council survey, we just combined it into a summary. But if there was a particular question on one of the summaries that we could look at the individual results to see if there was any additional information. But reviewing the summary to the individual responses, I think it's captured the intent of every answer in the summary.
And the italicized piece is what the staff response is, what we're gonna do about what we learned or heard, so that's there as well, so. Any questions?
Next step.
Sorry, so have we moved into that report?
Yes, we have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, so the italicized was just immediate things that we are aware of that we can address. So we do a yearly calendar, which Krista had sent around, I believe, to all of council, but I don't believe we shared it with the individual, especially citizen members. So that's something that we can make sure we do in January, and also send out the invites for the year in advance. I think that based on some of the comments and based on some recent workshops, reviewing the terms of reference for each of the committees will be important, especially after the strategic planning process, and making sure that everything aligns. And again, just reiterating with the members what the mandate is and making sure that everyone is clear and make any changes necessary. And then again, just making sure that we try to meet the deadlines for distributing minutes. So we are making some progress, but we're still have areas to improve in getting those draft minutes out to committee members.
So any questions? So as to Derek's point, what's next? Well, what's next is the staff follow-up to those items that you see. And we continue to plod along and do our work with the strategic plan. There's a piece there as well that may, the strategic plan piece may result in some review of committees and maybe some changes there, but until we continue that process, we're not making any changes or know of any, but that could result in the way we want to do some of those committees, but. Councillor Jameson.
Jen, do you see a, I'll get the question, what's next? Do you see another check-in being done in the future to say, okay, we've heard from you, we're making these adjustments now, a year later, 2 years later, 12 days later, I don't know what it is, but what's the new check-in say? Are we heading in the right direction?
Yes, I do think that would be a good idea. I would recommend 2 years, so let one more year get under the belt. And as we're halfway through the council term, so that might actually work out to be more like 14 months. But do a check-in in the future. Maybe even closer to the end of the term to kind of see if there's anything that could be improved as we move into the next term.
Sounds good.
So committee members' terms end next year. Didn't we stagger them between council and committee members? So
Oh,
when everyone
okay,
came back,
we'll double check that.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, well, we should look at that because there may be that if anybody is leaving, an opportunity for that exit survey piece as well
Yeah.
in this, because that's when their terms officially do expire, I think. Because we wanted to stagger council terms and committee members' terms.
I think an exit survey similar to an exit interview would be a good idea just to see if there's any feedback that a member has.
Okay. Anything else on this?
I will just mention that there was some training that was identified, so we can work on that individually as well and identify whether it's training that takes part as part of a committee, but all of council would be invited to, or whether it's a special night for everyone to come to. We'll kind of take into consideration some of the comments or suggestions and come up with a plan for those individually.
I think that overall was pretty positive that we were on the right track with the way we've set the committees up and the kind of the schedules and the workload and those kinds of things, so. Good on our council leads of the committees and the work that we're doing there. So Jennifer, item B under new business, I mentioned this to you before, that it would be, I think, a good idea to give, if you wouldn't mind giving us a bit of an overview of the emergency coordinator center and our responsibilities as a municipality and the whole emergency measures piece that the county is going through and how it impacts the towns, yourself and other staff, Krista and Roger and Taylor, and just a bit of an overview.
Sure. So I
It have to be very long. Yeah.
No, and I won't keep it too long right now, especially where there's not a lot other than what's been said about the event. But essentially, when an event happens in one of the 4 municipalities, the REMAC, Regional Emergency Management Coordinator. So Dan Stovall would contact either the CAO that the event it directly impacts or the CAO of Wolfville, who is his day-to-day supervisor, and identify that we would need to activate the ECC and at what level. So given this event and familiar with our neighboring county, it was recommended to staff the ECC with a manager. So that's one of the 4 CAOs, someone to answer the public hotline, a ECC liaison, and then there was some other staff doing GIS, IT, and sometimes operations coordination. So Kings County took the lead on doing the first 12 hours once the ECC was activated. And then the next 12 hours was Wolfville. And then it was determined that we could continue doing day shifts instead of 24-hour coverage based on DNR's schedule as well at the incident command site where they're doing the operations management. So each municipality is responsible for a 12-hour block in coordinating that. We have decided that we may break those up into 6-hour chunks, but right now we're just looking to coordinate the next 2 weeks of responsibility. So I would have a shift potentially every 4 days, which then takes me away from the day-to-day in Berwick, but this also spreads it out to make it more manageable for all CAOs and all municipalities to be able to continue with day-to-day operations as well as assist with emergency management. So the idea is that each municipality would try to support as many positions as possible without impacting their day-to-day operations. And then other municipalities may support in some of those other positions. So we're just working on a 2-week plan so that we can make sure that we can plan our schedules around it as well. And that's where we are with the management.
Jennifer, today it involved Krista and Taylor and Roger.
Mm-hmm.
And just quickly, where were they and what were they doing?
Sure. So Roger was actually at the incident command site with DNR as the ECC liaison, so the Emergency Coordination Center liaison. So he directly would let us know, or we would send people to him if there was specific questions. Taylor and Krista split a shift doing the hotline operator or public hotline operator. And myself, I was the ECC manager. And so again, we'll kind of discuss this maybe tomorrow at our all staff meeting about what resources we have and what we're able to commit so that we can communicate that to the other municipalities for support.
And Kings County has declared a state of emergency in that local area.
They have, yes.
Can you just explain what that means?
Sure. So declaring a state of local emergency gives the municipality power to make decisions and I believe have powers to enter properties and such without going through other orders. It does not mean that expenses are covered by the province. It just gives them the power to make decisions for that area without the property owner's permission, I believe. Putting me on the spot. I just want to find the exact definition, but are there any other questions?
No?
Keep up the good work.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you for your role in that. Okay, the next item for you would be under department report 7E or CAO report.
So I think if there's any questions, I can take those.
So, how about our MPS? Strategy then being somewhat recommended with some minor amendments, that we see there.
Yep, so we received notice on last Friday from Don Sutherland that staff had reviewed our MPS and recommended some minor changes forward to the minister for approval. So my understanding is that these are amendments that we can, with maybe the flooding one would require a future amendment, but the floodplain one, but the other ones would be accepted as part of ministerial approval.
Okay, so from our end, we simply just amend our document and they'll approve it. We do not need to go back to the public or do anything further around that. That's just province has said this is what you need to change and this is the changes and
That is
we're
my
doing-
understanding. So we wouldn't have to take this document and go through a public hearing again. Once the minister assigns, if they approve these amendments with what's been recommended, then we would make those changes and then advertise the approval to the public.
Okay.
So that doesn't need to be approved by council again, then.
It does not. I don't believe
No.
so.
Okay. Any other
Again,
questions?
Sorry, I do
Sorry.
just want to preface that this was what was recommended by staff, so the minister could make a different change once it's in front of him for approval, but this is what staff has recommended.
Mhm.
I just see in policy 5.298, it says it shall be the policy of council. And if it's not approved by council, how can it be a policy of council? I guess is my question.
For that one specifically, it's a legislative requirement that council has a public participation program policy. So council will have to do that regardless of you having a policy or not for that one.
Thank you.
Is that a standard policy and procedure that's out there that they have, or is this something we need to kind of create?
So we have drafted one and had PAC review it about 12 months ago, and it never came forward to council. It might even be longer than 12 months ago, actually. Krista and I have recently reviewed it, and we're going to bring it to PAC next Tuesday for another review and recommendation forward to council, and then hopefully bring it to October 14th for approval. So it would set out what your parameters are for when you hold a public information meeting versus a public participation meeting. What is a public hearing? Who you send communications to when you have a development agreement or a land use bylaw or MPS amendment. But there is pretty standard ones across the province that we can adapt to, but we do have one drafted.
Okay. All right, any other questions of Jennifer? All right, let's go back to where we left off with committee reports, 8E, Kings Point to Point. Councilor Goddard.
Any questions? I think everybody read it. It's not that long. Oh, and since this report, we have purchased another vehicle. Signed a check for $100,000 the other day.
Oh,
Picked up another, so we have 11 vehicles on the road.
so this is an addition to your fleet, not a replacement for another,
Correct.
yeah, well. And there really are Chucky dolls that kids have.
Oh, yeah, that was,
That's,
the driver had quite an issue with that.
that's scary.
The child's mother
Nix
wanted the child to be able to take this Chucky doll on the bus, and it was very disruptive. Cause a lot of the other kids on the bus have issues as well, and it terrifies them.
Hmm. The thing terrifies me. I don't watch those movies.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to Police Services Advisory, Counselor Sereno.
Oh, it's kind of brief, but a lot of good, it doesn't highlight the amount of discussion that we actually do. There's a lot of good discussion that happens at the police board. So just a couple of things. Bruce Morrisby is DOJ appointment, letter came through. So we've read that, community business, and community engagement document reported by the mayor, possible ways to improve engagement with community and police. A lot of good things were coming at that. We're gonna, myself and a couple other members are gonna go around and talk to businesses and people in the community to see what they actually want out of the police forces and what they're expecting and how they can improve their own safety at home as well. Also discussed local problems. Biggest one brought up by Councillor Goddard is the intersection of Union Street. We had a lot of people running lights. Sergeant Prime is gonna look into that for us. On that, any questions, concerns, queries for me?
Just a clarification on that public safety document. I did do some of the editing and writing, but it's the work that Pat Jogri had volunteered to do with us. And based on some of the issues and concerns and things she's had and we've had around police. So he and I and Jen joined us for one of those meetings and sat down, identified some issues and some things. And kind of then put them on paper to bring forward to the advisory committee, and we had some discussion on it, and kind of now I have to figure out what is next. One of them was the survey that Councilor Sereno mentioned, but there's some other things on there. So at some point we should, when we feel it's ready, I guess we'll share the whole thing to council. Yeah. That's it.
A lot of good ideas, though. There was a lot of good ideas.
Mhm. Okay. So if nothing else, we'll move on to Valley Regional Services. So Jennifer, I think you were our only one there. I couldn't make it, and Justin had some technical difficulties, so. There's the meeting minute that really does an excellent job of describing what happens there, so. Much better than any of us could write. So, any questions from that? Just remind people we're not King's Transit anymore. We are Tidal Transit. Yeah.
Just one thing out of that, there's, please remind people to dispose of lithium batteries properly. Don't just throw them in the garbage. A lot of the fires that happen at Valley Waste are because people are disposing of lithium ion batteries improperly. So we've had 7 over the last year, all of them caused by lithium ion batteries. So please remind people to
You actually physically need to bring them to Valley Way.
yeah, there is a spot for them.
Yeah.
Don't just throw them in your garbage can, please.
When you dispose of it, no matter what you do, put a piece of plain old masking tape over the end of it.
Mhm.
And that will prevent them from contacting another battery and causing a fire. I got that from the people at Valley Waste.
Okay,
Good idea.
that is
Does-
useful, because
yeah.
that I didn't know.
Yeah, that's all I had on that.
So are these the big lithium batteries?
Real cell phones, little vape batteries, toys, watches, all that stuff. Anything that has lithium ion batteries, it's gotta go in the proper spot or else we're putting our own employees at risk here.
Yeah.
But they're becoming pros at dealing with the problem now. The whole place hasn't burnt down yet because of all the experience they have in fighting these fires now. Yeah. Yeah, but please remind people to dispose of their lithium-ion, all batteries properly.
So Jennifer, I see there's mention the circular materials contract still, are we still on track for December 1st? And they're talking about minor adjustments and negotiations ongoing. Have they resolved the issues that they didn't really want to do, like sending out another truck to pick up the business pieces? Or is there any more you can share on that?
Sure. So I don't think that question was asked exactly that way, and Andrew didn't mention that we're not on track, but I can follow up just to get council that word confirmation. So my understanding is we are on track, and there was just some legal review of some wording, but we're still moving forward with everything in the way that Andrew has presented it. So the issues have been resolved, but I will just follow up on that because he didn't say that. He didn't say otherwise in his presentation.
Okay. All right, any further questions on that one?
What's the C and D are?
Construction and demolition, yeah. It's the heavier materials that come from, sites.
Chip rock, all that.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, move on to the mayor's report then. Just a couple of things to highlight, or that aren't mentioned there. The coffee sessions, we're back, or the coffee session we're on for next Tuesday, so hopefully you can make that. And we're gonna then also, the other one I want to mention is the strategic planning exercise. We are ready to go with that, with the first public meeting will be October 8th. And it'll be at the church next door. And then the 22nd will be the next one. So we start with we worked through this with the consultant, Jacques Dubé, is that how he says it? Yeah, he's a consultant now, but he was the CAO at HRM. And we had two applicants. We met with both of them, and we've selected him based on what we thought he would provide for us, the best way and with the best price. So it's a larger public will come to that first meeting, and he'll lead us through that, visioning, mission, values, and beginning to understand the strategic planning process, and to do an exercise to find out for people what they feel they think we need to do as priorities in Berwick. So that will be kind of the gist of the first meeting. And so at we're gonna come back and forth on the coffee session. So the coffee session will be a chance to share a little bit about that with people, encourage them to come, but also maybe even start to get a sense of what people might think are those things. And we'll have kind of the small table groups, and we'll be throwing that out there a bit to people. And also based on what, kind of we have in the works for staff, our departments and things as priorities over the next number of years. So then the second meeting will be, well, there's be a bit of work between the first meeting and the second meeting, where we will take some of that information the public has shared with us, try to consolidate it a bit more in strategic groups, and then we'll identify either some existing committees, counselors, or people from the public that might form these working groups. Then we come back at the next meeting on October 22nd with the intention to begin the working groups, and he will lead us through how we do this, how, what are strategic actions, kind of better understanding the process piece to that. And then we'll spend kind of the month of November with a meeting or two in those task groups to create the actions for it. And we'll consolidate that back into one larger report that will come back to council. And it'll be kind of our document that we will need to refine and move forward on. So it starts with kind of an exercise with the general public, moves down to more focused groups of people to add and build on it, and then it becomes council's document to finalize and take forward. Jen, what did I miss?
I think you covered everything.
Okay, so that's kind of it in the nutshell that, so I didn't put that in the mayor's report because we hadn't quite finalized things that we didn't get the location till this afternoon. So we're underway and, yeah. I did send out an email, I think, to councilors about a heads up on the 2 dates.
Yeah.
I didn't hear back from anybody, so
Thought
I
it was
assume-
the 22nd though.
what?
I thought one date was the 22nd.
Yes, it is.
Okay, and
Yeah.
then now I see there's a meeting. Oh. Yeah. Different month.
Yeah,
Different month.
okay.
Different month.
Yeah, yeah. So those 2 dates, so that's good. And we'll have to have some conversation about how when we see what they are, who works where and what your roles are, but that will come out a bit more that night with, so. Anything else from my list? I will mention that we had a good conversation with Cody Boyce, came more for a meeting. Usually when he comes to town, he's in a parade or he's doing something more politically, of interest to him. So this time we had planned to meet with him, Jennifer and I. He wasn't, he couldn't get here in the afternoon, so it was kind of a supper meeting with he and I, and then he was doing a puck drop. So we were combining both to get him here. So we've had some good conversations about some ways the federal government can help us. And he called me actually today to tell me he's working on one, specifically meeting with a minister tomorrow. So hopefully we'll have some news on one of our applications that is in federally that we weren't successful on. Maybe he'll make some headway with that, but at least I know that he's working on our behalf, so that's good news. And same with some issues with Chris Palmer. I did talk to him about some things that we've been dealing with. The legislation, the area municipalities are looking for. Some of our challenges with our decisions with UARB regarding the ownership of the solar garden, some of these things. And he has sent me a message. The house is in session now, and sent me a message that he's arranging some meetings for us to go in and meet with some people in there on some of those things. So I do want to say that our provincial and federal representatives are working on our behalf. So which is good to see. Can't say we've seen any outcomes yet, but, you know, we want to share that with you. And we met today, Derek and I, with, 2 people who are interested in setting up that subsidy program for power bills. So, and they agreed to kind of move forward again on that. So we have another meeting coming up. 16th of October, Derek?
Believe so,
What's your
yeah.
memory? 16th, yeah. Looking for some other people who may be interested in helping with the process, which is identifying people who may want to make financial contributions to it, of which I think we have a few already in place. Then there'll be reviewing applications, people who are in need and settling on who gets what. In the meantime, some of the work is also the steps in the process that pulls all that together to help make the decisions and builds the application form and that kind of thing. So anybody interested in that, they're looking for members to help out.
Just to understand that my understanding was that it would be a committee of which the town, someone from the town would be on the committee and we wouldn't be driving the bus type of thing. Is that correct?
That would be correct. One thing I forgot to mention is that the food bank has agreed to be kind of the overall umbrella organization. So to manage any of the funding and writing checks and collecting donations. So it's not gonna be through the town as perhaps it was originally talked. Jennifer, do you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that we haven't made a commitment to drive the bus, right? Like, I'm waiting for you to give me a list of things that they may be looking for so we can review them with staff who would be involved to make sure that, one, it's something we could provide, and two, if it would have any operational impacts and what the
Right,
process might look like.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a bit of a conversation about that today without it. The feeling being that there is much, but we do need to, we'll refine that more in the next meeting.
Okay, I do think it's important to get it in writing of what the ask is, so we can consider it, to understand that it's not members of a committee requesting different things at different times, that it is a streamlined process, and that staff can determine whether it's something that would take, you know, if it's a request for an item that's going to take a lot of staff time to find that information because our system doesn't naturally allow us to gather it. We want to be able to communicate that to the group and see if there's something else that we could pull, and whether it's even information we're allowed to pull. So if we could get that list of items, as the sooner the better, so that we can help support the process and it can be effective for both groups.
One of the members intends to kind of roll out some of that for the group to review for the next meeting. So
Okay,
we'll
great.
see what's comes up there.
Sort of in terms of reference and how a program might work.
Yeah.
And hopefully it would include, you know, what would be the town's involvement, if any. Or Berwick Electrics.
Yeah. Okay, anything else from that? Okay, so we're ready to move in camera, and we do have an item, and I think everyone's received materials on that. So we have a motion, Mayor Lutz, and a seconder, Councillor Goddard, to go in the camera. All those in favor say aye.
Yeah.
And motion's carried. We're now gonna be in camera. We'll take a minute.